Good morning, grade 9s. Welcome back to WorksheetCloud grade 9 English. Again, any queries, questions that you may have, same as always, use the email address on the screen, grade9@worksheetcloud.com. This is just if you have questions about the lesson or if anything was not clear to you, then you can get more clarity by emailing and querying. Just to quickly touch base, if you are only joining today for the first time, welcome. I am Mrs. Nortier and I'm really happy to be with you today. You have still got the opportunity to go back and look at some of the other lessons we've done. We've done visual literacy, dictionary skills, Romeo and Juliet, poetry, cartoons, so really and truly a whole array of things. And today we're going to be changing it up again. So welcome, I'm glad you're here, and as I said, if you want to go back and have a look, there are other lessons available too. So I'm hoping that you're all as happy as I am that it is Thursday. This means we are one step closer to the long weekend. So hang in there, it is coming. Also, I thought we'd have a look at this day in history. So today in history, William Shakespeare, the greatest playwright in the English language, and we did quite a lot of his history quite recently, he is believed to have been born. He also died on the same day in 1616. So today, think about Shakespeare, go back maybe and revisit the Romeo and Juliet crash course lesson, and now you have something that you can say you know about this day in history. Today we are doing something very different. You will need to have pen, paper. Again, if you want to make notes or if you want to jot down the activity answers. Otherwise, feel free to also just think about it and as we discuss together, see if that's where you were also going with your thought process. So today we are going to be doing newspaper and magazine. In doing newspaper and magazine writing, we're also going to look at facts and objectivity versus opinion and subjectivity. Newspapers are very factual. Newspapers have to report and make sure that they are objective. Objective means you give the facts, you're not biased, you're not making a judgment, you are 100% logical and analyzing. If you are subjective, which is very much more magazine style writing, if you are subjective, it means you are giving some type of opinion or emotion. You're making it quite clear where your opinion lies. Now just remember, even though newspaper writing is more factual and magazine writing is a bit more subjective, it's still both academic pieces of writing, which means you can't bring in slang into a magazine. You can't start writing in a way that isn't very academic anymore, right? You're still constrained by the confines of academia. We're going to have a look quickly at how newspapers are printed. Still, it comes from a very long time ago, this system, and I see it's actually stayed in play. A very short video and just an interesting look at how does this newspaper come from what it is to what we actually buy and see. I think that whole roll weighs 850 kilograms. newspaper, and I mean very simplistic look as well, how the newspaper is actually printed. Right, so you can see it's a massive room, or a massive factory rather, and the equipment that's being used is also, it's crazy. It's almost like a roller coaster going up into the sky. So newspaper printing, very, very involved process. Okay, now that you have a little bit of info on that, let's start having a look at what it means to have a fact or a factually based piece of writing versus something a little bit more opinion based. Now, a fact is defined as something that has actually happened, can be proven as true or false. That means there has to be evidence. So often science plays quite a big role. When I say science, I don't mean scientific formula. I just mean that sort of empirical evidence you can bring forward that this is actually true. For instance, here, dogs are mammals. That can be proven if you look at the biological or the scientific way that we've actually analyzed what a dog is and what a mammal is. You can't argue that. I mean, you can, but you're not going to win. An opinion is then someone's personal belief. It doesn't have to be true or true to everyone, but it's your belief. So dogs are the best pets. That's not a fact. You might believe that, but someone else believes that a cat is actually a much better pet. So remember, fact, you can prove it. Opinion, it's your feeling. Again, this ties in just going a little bit further. Subjective versus objective. All right, now subjective means based on your opinion, your judgment, or your feelings. Objective, it's factual. It literally can be proven by measurements or some type of research. So objective and fact is the same. Subjective and opinion is the same. We're going to do a short little exercise to make sure that you're able to grasp just what those two concepts mean. Okay, so this is something that you can jot down or think about. I'd like you to consider every single sentence and think for yourself, is this fact or is this opinion? All right, and then I'm going to ask you to pause, write it down, or think about it. We'll come back and then we can discuss. Right, so I hope that you guys were able to work with these 5 concepts. Remember, every time you're labeling something as fact, you're saying it's objective. It can be proven. When you're labeling something as opinion, you're saying it's subjective. It's more a feeling. Okay, so I'm going to start here with number 1. Green is my favorite color. Now, green might be your favorite color, but by no means is that a fact. It's not everyone's favorite color. In fact, I don't really like green. Green's kind of at the bottom of my list with yellow. Sorry if you love yellow or green. I'm much more a pink and blue even. I love orange, not so much green. So there we're going to say that's an opinion. All right, so I'm sure you're probably thinking of your own favorite color right now. That is your own subjective opinion or feeling. Number 2, George Washington was the first president. This is obviously in America. Now, that is very much a fact. You can go and you can prove that he was the first president if you look at the historical records. Right? Also think about it. Washington, that's in America. Also the place where you'll find the White House, where the president lives. Right, so George Washington's legacy has carried on in that way. Number 3, I really enjoyed the football game last weekend. Now just remember, Americans refer to football as almost like rugby, if I can compare it in a way. But remember, in Europe, football is soccer. We also call it soccer, just to give you a little bit of extra analogy there. Now, if you're saying that you enjoyed the game, that is your feeling and opinion. Someone else who is not a football fan, or even who was there but maybe their side lost, they aren't going to have said they enjoyed it. So that is very much an opinion. Number 4, Thanksgiving is celebrated in November in America. That is a fact, right? So you can go and have a look. There's an exact day that they have Thanksgiving, always towards the end of November. I'm sure you have heard about the Black Friday sales that South Africa has seemed to cotton onto in the last couple of years. That's also associated with just after America celebrates Thanksgiving. So that is a fact. You can go and look at the calendar and prove that that is in fact correct. Number 5, Billy's favorite food is pizza. Okay, yeah, I can agree. I love pizza. I hope you do too. I'm sure you're missing going to your favorite pizza restaurant. I know I've made a couple of pizzas during this lockdown period, and I really do miss my favorite Calcaccio pizza. All right, so favorite food being pizza, that obviously is opinion. Not everyone's favorite food is pizza, though I can't really understand why, but that is your own opinion. All right, so looking at this, things like number 2 and 4, more factual, more objective, is what you will find in a newspaper type of writing. However, if I look at number 1, 3, and 5, very opinion, very subjective based, so more magazine writing. Okay, so this is just a look at what a magazine article is like. I want you to notice a couple of things. There is a catchy heading, get ready to race, right? So you'll see this is about a cyclist. So it really does tie in. It could have also been about a runner, a swimmer, whoever not, but we immediately know, okay, this is sport induced. Have a look. There's always going to be a little subheading. So just by reading that subheading, you'll know a bit more about the article. And then you'll see there will always be what's called a byline. Who is it by? Then you have your article. Always good to have a photo. So a magazine article actually is quite simple. Not to write, I don't mean that, but I mean the layout. Okay, we'll look at it a bit more in detail just now. But remember, title, subheading, byline, and as you can see, columns. Also has the columns, but you'll see here it's a lot more factual when you read it. Also a catchy heading. I mean, any title of an article has to catch your attention. An epic solo bike ride nears finish. Alright, so this sounds amazing. We now need to read. You can see here there's a lot of direct speech or quotes. So that gives you like an eyewitness account. This must all be true and factual because I'm getting direct information from those involved. So that will also be an element that a newspaper article could have. Okay, just some interesting facts about newspapers and magazines to make it maybe a little bit more relevant and real world for you. You might think that newspaper consumption or newspaper reading, it's not really what it was previously. How can it be that popular now? So yes, maybe printed newspapers aren't sold as much. They're still sold a lot though. But that's why a lot of us have gone digital. So don't think that newspapers aren't around anymore. The articles that you read from News 24, Times Live, those are still newspaper articles. It's just been put on a digital medium because obviously that's what everyone is accustomed to. All right, the newspaper digital media audience is skyrocketing. So as people are realizing you can get that newspaper information digitally, it's just picking up more and more popularity. Millennials are actually reading newspapers on a mobile device more than any other age groups. So they are millennials getting more and more information from newspapers than what you might think. Now, we've done advertising, the very first lesson that I had with you guys, way back last week, Thursday. And this shows that more than any other medium, advertising in newspapers is considered more trustworthy. So people believe, or they tend to want to buy into this product more if it's advertised in a newspaper. So that's a very interesting psychological concept. Something about magazines: 50% of all published print magazines are sold on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right, so I think that's probably got to do with it's the weekend, I can relax, read my magazine. And it says here that only 11% of magazines on average are sold on a Wednesday. So yesterday would have been a bad day for magazines. Celebrity magazines sell more copies than anything else. Right, so when you go and you have a look at your magazine options, you've got glamour, and then you've got house and home, leisure and home. Most people will go for the glamour, that type of celebrity-based magazine. I guess it makes sense, though I actually would have thought the trend would be more, as we're moving into environmentally friendly actions, that people are more interested in the environment and home life. Maybe it will change though. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of actually now putting together your newspaper article. Please remember this little framework you see in front of you. I really think it will help you a lot when you actually have to plot it, because it just gives you that structure so you know, okay, this goes there, that goes there. It just makes it a lot easier for you. Always remember, as I've said, a catchy title. Make it bold, capital letters, bigger font. Obviously you're writing, but you can still make it capitalized and bigger. Then you will have your byline. You will say who it's written by. So by, I would write, for instance, Samantha Nortier. So your byline must also have the place at which it's written. So by Samantha Nortier, Cape Town. Okay, so it also just puts in perspective where the news is coming from. Then you will have your information. So you'll work all the way down. Once you get here, you'll come up and continue down. Now, what you need to be writing about is who, what, where, when, why, and how. Right, so who's involved with this article, or who's involved in this incident? What actually happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? And how did it happen? So that you can develop informal language. Remember, factual. That also helps you stick to the facts. Because what happened? Where did it happen? It's all facts. Then we always have a picture with a caption. So I know if you are doing this in an exam scenario, you can't just bring in pictures. Leave a space for a picture. If you have time, you can always go back and draw something. Otherwise, you can just write picture and then you can put a little caption underneath. So let's look at a bit of an example. Okay, I'm going with the theme of COVID-19 at the moment. So a catchy title, COVID-19 needs a vaccine. Right, so that's catchy because it rhymes. Also, people definitely want a vaccine, so they're going to read this article. Then, let's have Susan Jones, Cape Town. Okay, so I just made up a name of a writer, and then it's based in Cape Town. Then we will write down our who, what, where, when, how, why. As you're doing it, remember to give statistics. So maybe say something like, in March, 5 people were diagnosed with COVID-19 versus April, where it's 3,000. So give those statistics. Give direct speech. Maybe you can give a line from a scientist who is trying to discover this vaccine. Then give facts. Why or what is COVID-19? Why is it such an infectious disease? Give evidence. All right, so Where is this vaccine concoction taking place? When do we think we can expect a vaccine? So provide some type of evidence. Then you have your picture, right? So I've chosen a picture of a supposed trial run that's still going of a vaccine. And then I've just given the caption, where is the cure? All right, so this is what your basic article will look like. Your newspaper will have a catchy title, a byline, all your information, and then you will have a picture and a caption. Let's look at a magazine article. Again, remember this framework. It really helps when you're in exams to have a picture in mind of what you're plotting. Okay, so a magazine will also have a catchy title, but there'll be a bit of a subtitle. We'll look at the example just now. The writer, then again, your information all the way down, back up, down again. This time your information will be a lot more emotive. There'll be opinions, some trendy language, not slang, just trendy buzzwords that will fit in with your article. Then you have your picture. Let's have a look at an example. Right, so this is an actual scientist. Her name that you can see is Kesmika Corbett. And she is so far seeming to be leading the front on getting this vaccine. So our catchy title, can Corbett beat COVID? Notice again that wordplay or the alliteration on CCC. So catchy titles often also use sound devices or figures of speech. Now I've got a subtitle. Kesmika Corbett works 7-day weeks and gets just 3 to 4 hours of sleep each night. So now I'm looking at that going, wow, she is definitely working hard. I need to read more about her. Right, so then all my information will obviously follow. There is a picture of Miss Corbett. She's 34 years old, an American. So you're welcome to go and research and have a look at what she's discovered, her and her team, as the leading scientist for COVID-19. Okay, so there's just a little bit about how to write a newspaper article versus a magazine article. Also, where you can use facts and objectivity versus emotions and subjectivity. Now, newspapers and magazines have changed. A very famous musician recently stated, newspapers and magazines didn't want pictures of musicians behaving badly back then. Now, because of the internet, that's all the media wants. So let's try not to be the negativity. Let's try not to support newspapers and magazines that are only giving us the gossip and the dirt and the scandal. Most of it isn't true. So when you create your newspaper and magazine articles, always remember to have an ethical approach. Right, guys, so as I said to you earlier, it's Thursday, which means Friday Eve. So goodbye. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. I really appreciate you joining me today for the lesson, and let's go and get ourselves ready for one more lesson tomorrow, and then it is long weekend. Thanks for watching, grade 9s. This lesson was brought to you by WorksheetCloud. This is Mrs. Nortia signing off and saying that I will see you guys tomorrow for, as I've said yet again, the long weekend.